Hello students, welcome back. This is class 10th, subject English, poem 3rd, A Tiger in the Zoo. This poem is written by Leslie Norris and this is my lecture number 1. The subtopics that we are going to discuss today in this lecture are, first of all, we will discuss the introduction of the poet Leslie Norris, then the introduction of the poem A Tiger in the Zoo, and after that there will be explanation of the complete poem. So let us begin with the introduction of Leslie Norris. Introduction of the poet. George Leslie Norris was a prize-winning Welsh poet. Welsh means a native of Wales. And he was a short story writer. He is considered as most important Welsh writers of the post-war period and his literary works have won many prizes. His famous works are Finding Gold, The Loud Winder, Phoenix Living Poet Series, Ransom, etc. So this was all about the poet Leslie Norris. Now let us move to the introduction of the poem. Poem name is A Tiger in the Zoo and this is written by Leslie Norris. So the poem written by Leslie Norris explains the agony means the state of acute pain and helplessness of a caged tiger that lives in a zoo. As the title of the poem suggests, the poem A Tiger in the Zoo, it depicts how a tiger behaves and reacts in the zoo. The poet contrasts a tiger in the zoo with the tiger in its natural habitat. And the poet feels that his right place is in the jungle and so tells us that the tiger should have been there. So the poet explains what his life could be if he had been a free animal. He means here a tiger. The poet has tried to explain about the condition of animals that are caged by human beings for their own fun. So this poem moves from the zoo to the jungle and back again to the zoo, while the tiger displays quiet rays in the concrete cells of the zoo. So this was the introduction of the poem A Tiger in the Zoo. Now let us move to the explanation of the stanzas of this poem. He stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage on pads of velvet quiet in his quiet rays. So the meaning of these lines is that the poet has given actually a vivid description, a clear description of the tiger. Here he refers to the tiger. Stalks means to move with pride. The tiger moves with pride in his vivid stripes. Vivid means clear. With his clear stripes. Stripes means long narrow band of lines on the body. And he moves only few steps of his cage because he is locked behind the bars. He is in the cage and he can move only few steps there. On pads of velvet quiet. Velvet is soft silk cloth. Quiet, he was very quiet and he was moving on the pads of velvet, means soft silk cloth, and he was very quiet. He was in his quiet rage. Rage means anger. So the poet has given a vivid description of the tiger. The tiger is confined in the zoo and roams in the cage only. He moves only in the cage. The stripes are visible on his skin. He walks quietly, silently on the pads of velvet in his cage without showing his anger. He was angry, but he does not show his anger to anyone. He was quiet. So now the literary devices used in this stanza. First of all, rhyming scheme. Here rhyming scheme is A, B, C, B. Case and raise. These are rhyming words. So these are B, B, and stripes is A and quiet is C. Then metaphor is used. Tiger's paws are compared with velvet, pads of velvet. Here comparison is done without using like or as. Then next is enjambment that we have already done in our previous poems. Sentence is continuing to next line without any punctuation mark. Then imagery. Poet tries to create an image about the tiger. He stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage. Then next is very important literary device, oxymoron. Oxymoron actually is a figure of speech in which two opposite ideas are joined. Like here it is given quiet raise. Means he is angry, still he is very quiet. The next stanza. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass near the water hole where plump deer pass. So the poet says that if the tiger had been free, then he would have hid himself behind long grass near the water bodies and could have easily caught a deer in order to have its prey. But the tiger is not in a position to do so because he is entrapped in a cage. So he should be lurking. Lurking means hiding. So if the tiger had been in the forest, there he would have been, he would have hid himself in the long grass and he would be waiting there for his prey, plump deer. Plump means fatty. So the literary devices used in this stanza, rhyming scheme is A, B, C, B. Same, two rhyming words are given here, grass and pass. Then same thing, enjambment, line continues to next line without punctuation marks, sliding through long grass near the water hole without any punctuation mark. Then alliteration is used, use of sound P at the start of two words, plump and pass. P sound is repeating here, so here it is alliteration. Then imagery. The poet has tried to create an image of tiger's activities lurking in shadow. Now next stanza. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws terrorizing the village. Snarling means making sound, making a lower harsh sound, and baring means uncovering, showing, and fangs means sharp teeth. So the tiger should be making harsh sound around the houses at at the jungle's edge. Edge means the boundary line of an area. So the poet says that if the tiger would have been free, he would have roamed around freely. The tiger would have been snarling around houses on the outskirts of the jungles. He would terrorize the village. He would be terrorizing the village people with his sharp teeth. Fangs means sharp teeth, and claws. So the meaning is that the tiger should be in the jungle, but instead of roaming in jungle, the tiger is in the cage, and there he cannot show his power to anyone. Now the literary devices. First, rhyming scheme, the same A, B, C, B. Rhyming scheme is followed, and rhyming words are edge, village. Then enjambment, line continues to next line without punctuation marks. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge. Then, very important literary device, onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia are actually the words that sound like thing it is describing. It is often used for dramatic, realistic or poetic effects. Like here one word is given, snarling. Next stanza is, but he is locked in a concrete cell. Concrete means solid. His strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage. Stalking means moving, ignoring visitors. So it means the tiger is locked in a solid cell, in a cage, and his strength is behind the bars. He cannot show his strength to anyone. Stalking the length of his cage means he is moving only in the cage, and he is ignoring the visitors because he cannot show his power to them. So the poet wants to say in this stanza that the tiger is inside the cage. He is confined in a concrete cell. His strength is also hidden behind the bars. He is stocked in his cage. He is moving only in his cage because he cannot come out. The tiger is locked in the cage, so he does not pay heed to the visitors. He ignores them. Now the literary devices. Rhyming scheme, A, B, C, B. Rhyming scheme is followed here. Two rhyming words are given here, bars and visitors. Then alliteration, use of sound B at the start of two words behind bars. Next is he hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. So the poet says, but if the tiger would have been free, he would have roamed around freely, but he is locked behind the bars and he hears the sounds of the patrolling cars at night. He looks at the shining stars with his eyes. It shows that the tiger is sad and he is confined in the cage. So he is very sad and he is looking at the brilliant or shining stars with his shining eyes. Now the literary devices. A, B, C, B. This is the rhyming scheme. Cars, stars. Then enjambment, Line 3 continues to line 4 without any punctuation mark. This line is, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. The next is alliteration, use of sound her in the starting of two words. He hears is repeating. This is your homework. Read the following extracts carefully and answer the questions that follow. He stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage on pads of velvet quiet in his quiet race. Question number 1 is, why the tiger could walk only a few steps? How does the tiger move in the cage? Next question is, what are the two qualities of the animal under reference? Then next is, why is he in quiet race? Question number 2, how does a tiger create terror for the villagers? Question number 3, describe the tiger in the cage. And question number 4 is, where should the tiger have been according to the poet? Thank you.